Hey everyone, it's Mark Buckley here, founder of the FMA Strength Institute. Now, we have a real treat in store for you today. I'm going to be doing an interview with my lovely wife, Hemi Gonzalez. She is the founder of the Bombshell formula, and she's the author and producer of an online multimedia program called the 7 Body Basics. And today, we're going to bring her in and unpack this very controversial topic on how do we heal our painful relationships with food and body image. So there's going to be a lot of nuggets that she's going to sort of throw your way, and there's a lot of value you're going to take from this conversation that we're going to have. Now, for some of you who may not be familiar with this Be Live sort of setup that we've got, if you are watching this live, feel free to add a comment below, because I will be able to see the comments and I will be able to answer them. So you can like, you can do love hearts, you can share, and you can leave comments. And if a comment comes up with a good question, we'll do our best to answer it during the next sort of 30 minutes. So we only have 30 minutes, so that means I've got to do a lot less talking and a lot more listening. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Hemi into the room, and we're going to get started. So welcome, Hemi.
Hey, babe.
Hey. It's kind of weird, we're actually in the same house, but we've had different rooms to get rid of the echo. So yeah, so it's been a long time in the making. I've talked a lot about you to our students in particular. So I'm really excited actually to finally be sharing you with the world. I've kept you sort of locked away for long enough, and now it's time to share your knowledge with everyone. So that's great. So are you ready to get started, Hemi?
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Cool. Well, the first thing I really want to bring up is I love your sort of bombshell statement that you have, and it kind of reads along the lines of, I look good because I feel good. And then it's kind of followed with, become an expert in you, heal your painful relationship with food and body image. To me, that's probably one of the most powerful things I've read in a long, long time, especially, being in the industry where I'm all about teaching trainers how to empower their clients to move forward and stuff. So I want to talk about that with you. And the first thing I really want to unpack with you is that the first one, which is, I look good because I feel good. How did you come up with that? What was your story that sort of brought you to that sort of conclusion?
Okay, well, I think that what I'd like to share about that is my early childhood. I was very, very sick, and I suffered with asthma. I was heavily medicated. I had to miss out on a lot of childhood activities. I missed out on so much school time just because I was sick. And the second part of my upbringing, my teenage years, that was when I started becoming aware of body image. So and that's more the look good component, whereas when I was a child, it was more like the feel good component, and they were both compromised. And then, throughout my life and my career, it was all about healing my relationship with that. And what I find today is that most people are very concerned with looking good, and the feeling good part is oftentimes neglected. And what I've learned through my personal experience and through working with so many people throughout the years is that when you look good because you're healthy, it's because it's coming from inside. It's an authentic expression of health. However, when you try to manufacture beauty at the expense of health, well, then we have a completely different outcome. So, and this is what I see oftentimes with a lot of the fitness or beauty programs. It's all about fix the outside, but it's never about, okay, but this shell is just a side effect of what's going on inside with my health. And I'm not just talking about my physical health, but also my mental, emotional, and spiritual state. So this is about holistic health. And for the people who are not familiar with the term holistic and they think it's just this granola term, what holistic means is just bigger picture. It's just like the inclusion of all the different dimensions of a human being. So look good because I feel good.
All right, I'm back on. So I gave you the full screen there. It sort of stops you from talking so much. So I think that's so powerful. And, we talk about this a lot. And I love how you talk about, the whole manufacturing beauty. We talk about sort of self-esteem, not other esteem. But it's amazing how many people give their power away to other people to determine how they feel about themselves. So I know we're going to talk about this in a lot more detail. But, it's interesting because, when we look at trying to help people, There's two things that really get interest, and that's addressing a problem that people have that they don't want, and the result that they want but they don't have. And again, this is why I love your little catch statement on your website, because it really does encompass your complete full understanding of what this problem is and what the result or the solution needs to be. So, you know, when we look at the problem, it really is helping people heal this unhealthy, or sorry, this, you know, painful relationship that they have with food and body image. Right? That really is the problem. And I remember listening to you when you kind of did the promo video for this, and you kind of talked about a statistic around 93%. And if I remember correctly, it was to do with, you know, 93% of women suffer from body dissatisfaction, and they also not only have negative sort of ideas around how they look and feel, but they also have negative ideas around other people look. A lot of judgment going on. And I remember you saying that this blew your mind. It was something that you really wanted to talk about. So, you know, what is it that you really want to say on that issue, that the big problem behind everything?
Well, you know, more than blowing my mind, because, you know, it's just, it's not surprising. Let's just put it that way. What it blew my mind, or why it blew my mind, was because it was actually coming out like on the mainstream, and they were just like really talking about it like so openly like that. But, you know, this is something that I've witnessed since I can remember. And I've lived in many different countries in the world. I've been exposed to many different cultures. I was in an international school in England when I was a little child. So I've been exposed to all types of religions, countries, you name it. And it's really interesting, but, you know, like, this is an issue all over. It is just global. And, you know, and people need to talk about this, because this is a taboo topic. Like, people don't like to connect with, I'm not happy with myself, or some expression of myself. So I think that we really need to talk about that. And this was actually, like, when I came across that survey, it was what actually prompted me to start the 7-part series with you, because I think that we can address this from two very different but powerful angles. And one is coming more from my feminine energy, and I'm not speaking of gender, like as me being a woman or me being a man, but you from your masculine energy, me from my feminine energy, and helping people understand that this issue is genderless, meaning like it is happening to men, it's happening to women, and what you and I are gonna do, or we're gonna bring our feminine traits or masculine traits to discuss this issue from like a global or holistic perspective, and bring many elements in. And your experience, you know, you've educated fitness and health professionals around the world for many years. I've worked on television, I've been in the entertainment industry, and I've been in the fitness industry. And so, you know, like I said, I've been all over the world. So I've actually not only gotten to see this in many different places, but also I have different angles from which I can address this topic. Okay,
so we're talking about body dissatisfaction, or this painful relationship with food and body dissatisfaction, which led to that 93% of women are kind of suffering from this relationship issue, where they have this dissatisfaction with how they look, and also dissatisfaction with how they see other women look. So, you know, where do you think this is coming from? Like, what do you think the real problem is here? Why do you think so many women are sort of inflicted with this painful relationship with body image, leading to so much body dissatisfaction and judgment?
Yeah, you know, that's actually a multi-layered question. And if I was to peel that onion of possibilities right to its core, what I would offer is that we have a very painful relationship with power. So what I mean by that is that what I've learned, or what I've understood through the years, is that we can relate to power two ways. One, externally, and two, internally. What I've realized with most of the people that I've met, including myself, because this was my upbringing, is we're actually taught to externalize the world, and we're taught to give our power away to the people outside of us. This is why we have authority figures that set standards and give us, you know, all these different rules and things. And oftentimes we're never taught to go inside ourselves and develop an intrinsic relationship with power. So what we do is, instead of navigating life from a place of inner authority, because I understand myself, because I know myself, and because I can guide myself, parent myself, I rely on external authority figures outside of me to set these standards and to navigate my life. And I completely give responsibility of my life to them. They're like parent figures outside of them. So what I've noticed is most people don't know how to self-parent. They don't know how to have an internal relationship with power, so they externalize it. Now that we've explained that a little bit, and I go a lot deeper into that in my books and my programs, is that what is really an expression of externalized power? So I can say this, there's two expressions based on my understanding. And one of them is when we give our power away to another person, okay? And the other one is when we take power away from another individual. That's an externalized relationship with power. So I think that one of the easiest ways to explain this is through the vampire analogy. I know that most people are very familiar with vampire stories. And so if you can see, the vampire sucks the energy out of the victim, right? And the victim surrenders self to give power to the vampire. And oftentimes, either we characterize ourselves more like in the victim, offering our energy and our life force to other people and allowing them to live at our expense, or we suck the life out of other people and we draw our power and our energy from that. But what's important to understand about this is that these are two sides of the same coin. They are both expressions of externalization of power, sucking it or surrendering it. Okay, and this is how most of us have been raised. And then there's the other expression, and that is, I draw power from myself. You see the difference between the two? It's not, I'm not surrendering it, and I'm not taking it from other people, but what I'm doing is I am connecting with who I am, and I am becoming my source of power.
Right.
So I think that is where this whole thing with body image comes from, is we've learned to externalize who we are externally and internally, and we have no idea who we are and what our values are. Although we think we are free and we think that we haven't been programmed, I'm actually going to share a story with you. And this was the day that I realized how programmed I was with this beauty spell, which we're going to explore in another one of our conversations. And so basically what this was, you know, I'm from Colombia, South America, and I love ancestral cultures and indigenous cultures. As a matter of fact, you and I got married in a Kogi ceremony in the Colombian mountains. This is one of our native indigenous tribes. And but before that event, I had been to La Sierra, which is where I'm from, La Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, many different times. And one of those times, I had the opportunity to talk to some of the Kogis, and I was actually interviewing one of the Kogis because I was working on a documentary at the time. And I don't know why I decided to do this. This was divine guidance, right? So I decided to ask this indigenous person, so what is your ideal of a woman? Like what's sexy or attractive to you? And he looked at me, or what do you find is beautiful in a woman? That was the question I asked. And he said, well, that she's a good wife, that she's a good mother, that we're good friends, that our family, you know, like that she gets along with the family. And I'm like, no. What I mean is aesthetically, you know, and I'm thinking here, well, maybe it's just a language barrier, you know, because he was talking to me in Spanish and his native tongue is Kogi language. And I'm thinking that he's not understanding me. So this went on for a while, me trying to get him to give me a physical description, and he's just talking about qualities. And then I thought, no, he doesn't understand, but it hit me. And I realized, oh, no. The one who doesn't understand is you, Hemi. You don't understand. These people have not been exposed to TV and all this crap, and they don't have those social constructs that you have. These people are free from this. And then that was like, oh my God, it's like you've been living in the water. You don't know you live in water. And suddenly you get out of the water and you go like, oh my God, I've been living in water. I've been programmed. And everybody is programmed. If you've watched TV, if you've been on the internet, if you've had parents, like we've all been programmed. And I think that the first step in healing is to acknowledge that from a place of humbleness.
Yeah, and I'm so are we getting a bit of echo? Is that echoing at your end?
There's a little bit of echo, but I guess we can still hear you. Can you guys let us know if you can still hear Mark?
So, and this is fascinating because, when people start to externalize their authority, like give their authority away, or outsource responsibility, or sort of, outsource the need for validation, which is pretty much what a lot of people are doing today, you really are giving your power away to other people to determine how you feel about yourself in any moment. And we're very aware of this, as a presenter, we talk about, praise and shame being of the two sorts of energies, about giving your power away. When someone comes up to you as a presenter and goes, wow, you were fantastic, your jokes were on point, I couldn't stop laughing. If I internalize that and choose to own that compliment or that praise, I've actually given my power away to them. Because what happens is the next time that we present and I start trying to throw out some good material again, and afterwards now the person comes up to me and goes, you know what, I didn't quite like it as much, it wasn't as funny. Now I'm going to feel like shit. I'm going to feel really bad. And I'm going to go, why? What do I need to do to make them like me again? To make them sort of rate me as a good presenter again. And this is what we really mean about giving our power away. It's not as obvious as what some people think it is. It can be very subtle. So when we look at the health industry and the fitness industry, which we're going to talk a lot more detail in upcoming sort of interviews, but it's crazy how people need that external validation in order to feel good about themselves in the moment. This is why we say people don't have self-esteem, they have others' esteem, right? How other people
I like that.
Determines how they feel about themselves when they're around that person. So, and we see this a lot with both men and women, having this unhealthy or painful relationship with body image. So one of the things I want to talk about here with you now, Hemi, is, when people do sort of give their power away and have this painful relationship with body image, and they're seeking out others' esteem, not self-esteem, right? And they have that relationship. What's the most damaging sort of consequence of giving your power away in terms of body image and how you feel about yourself based on how other people choose to see you? What does that set someone up for?
Yeah, well, one of the first things that I wanted to say before I go into answering that question is, and you're probably going to have to remind me of the question once I finish with this, but what you were describing is really important because basically what happens is that you become a slave to other people's expectations. So both praise and criticism are control dramas and power struggles, believe it or not. Because if we surrender our power to the praise or the criticism, we are owning other people's stories of us. And the truth is that nobody knows us, nobody ever will. They will just have stories of us. This is something very powerful that I learned from one of the many teachers that I've had, John McMullen. It's it really is that simple. And I've realized, like when I've back in the day when I had compliments, I was like, I always wanted to live up to the expectation of that compliment. You become a slave to that, because you never want them to take away the compliment.
Yeah.
What would it mean if tomorrow, they said to me, oh, you look so beautiful today. And then tomorrow they come here and they don't say anything, or they say you look ugly. So what we need to do is we need to come back into ourselves. If somebody gives a compliment or a criticism, we just connect with, you're sharing your experience of me. It doesn't have to be true for me. It doesn't have to be a lie. Either way, I'm not gonna get seduced by your compliment or your criticism. And and you can say thank you. When you say thank you, you've just accepted it. But the thing is that when you're having conversations with the average person, you kind of continue communicating in the language that everybody understands. You say thank you, but when you say thank you, you're accepting it. One of the things I've learned is saying thank you for sharing your experience of me. And again, that's something else that I learned from John. That way you're not owning it, but you're acknowledging that they are sharing their experience of you. So that was such a powerful point to bring up, Mark, because this is a huge part of the problem. And, I want to tie it into something else. And it's that, you know, when we talk about self-parenting, you know, based on my understanding, it's the feminine energy inspires and the masculine energy validates. Okay. And so what happens is that if you're taught to externalize the world and have people inspire you and validate you, they are parenting you and you're becoming addicted to their opinion of you. Okay. However, if you've had the opportunity to go inside yourself and go through a process of self-exploration and you know yourself, you have learned to self-inspire and self-validate. And so, hello, mainstream media, all institutions, social media, oh my God, please inspire me and please validate me.
Oh, I'm back on the screen again. I took the screen off to give you the focus. All right. And I mean, this is crazy because, you know, as we talked about, and for people that aren't familiar with me, you know, one of my roles is I travel around lecturing and I teach people in the fitness industry, you know, how to coach clients. And one of the things that we have to do as coaches from the very start, when someone comes in with a goal, which is, you know, I want to lose weight or I want to achieve a certain aesthetic, you know, sort of look, the first thing we're going to do is look at that and go, well, what is your relationship with that endpoint? What is your relationship with that goal? Because like so many people have a very unhealthy relationship with the goal they're actually asking as a coach to move them towards. And we talk a lot about the high road versus the low road. And this is something I kind of picked up from you in our conversations. You know, we talk about the low road, and it's kind of based on the idea that when you follow the low road, you know, it's about using methods that work against your body, not with your body. And for everyone listening, you'll be very familiar with this. It's when people go, I want to lose weight, right? They want to do it now. They want to lose weight very, very quickly. You know, they spend a lot of time getting to where they are, but they don't want to spend anywhere near that amount of time getting to where they want to be, right? They want it all to happen like that. So people get seduced into these low road methods. You know, they want these extreme results. And we talk about extreme results can happen, but it usually comes at the cost of using extreme measures. And extreme measures are methods that work against the body, not so much with the body. You know, so just share your experience with that, because I know that, you know, with the people that you've worked with and your own experience when you're working for Telemundo and stuff, you know, a lot of people were trying to push you in the direction of these extreme measures to get extreme results that would fit an ideal that they wanted, that they would say was audience appropriate. Okay. So could you just sort of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, you know, I will be getting a lot more into my journey, as you know, as I call it, a TV fitness bombshell, and all the things I witnessed. That we're going to devote an entire episode to that, because it's actually fascinating, all the things that I experienced in that world. But one of the big things is that, you know, I came in there and I already was a holistic health coach. I had already been through a Czech Institute, so I had a completely different understanding of the world than most of the women or the men that come into this world. And while I was working there, I was always studying at the Institute. So there was a part of me that, you know, pulled me into this very superficial world, and there was this other part of me that kept me very grounded in a different reality. So I was very blessed to get into this world like with that understanding. And also when I had that conversation with the indigenous person, that was very early in my TV career. And so by the time I was already working in this world, it was really hard to seduce me into any of this BS. However, as I said, not everybody had the same luck, and they were seduced into doing all these things to their bodies and altering themselves. You know, and one thing that I always said to people, they were always asking me, like, why I didn't get breast augmentation. Like, I'm actually quite small in my breasts, but I like it. I don't see a problem with it. You know, I don't know. I mean, we all have different values, and I respect whoever, you know, wants to have big breasts, but I just didn't want to do it for multiple reasons, which again, we're also going to be exploring in this series. And they would always tell me, well, your career could do so much better, and this and this and that. And I'm like, what? No, I said, look, I am here and I want to present myself authentically to my audience. And what I mean by authentic is I want to be congruent with my values and with what I'm speaking of and what I'm teaching. I cannot be a contradiction, you know, and present myself as one thing and give them a different message. You know, of course, you know, there's contradictions in my life that I was not aware of, you know, but at least I had the awareness of that one, and I wasn't going to get myself pulled into that. And you know what the funny thing is? I would do
get breast augmentation to get yourself a high ticket man.
What was I gonna say? Oh, so one of the things is that you know, I refuse to do it, and this is before the Facebook time and all these things. So people would write emails to me, and you know, I was doing my nutrition segment out in a pool in a bikini. My exercise segments were obviously in exercise attire. But what was interesting was that, and my audience didn't have like the highest level of education, you know, and you would expect that the messages that you would receive, like being on a bikini, you know, in this environment would be like just, you know, like dirty messages and that kind of thing. Well, let me tell you, I probably got 2 dirty messages, and I did the show, I think, for 3 years, that one particular show, just like 2. And the rest were, hello, Mrs. Gonzalez. Can I ask you this question? And the women would say to me, I love the fact that you are authentic. You're one of the few that we see on the screen that, you know, is just you. And I'm not criticizing women who make other choices. I'm just saying that could connect with some women at a heart level. And that's what I actually wanted.
That's so powerful. And, you know, and I know a lot of people would love to sort of shift into that reality and show up for themselves in that way. But a lot of people find it very hard to do that. Because, you know, when you start unpacking a lot of stuff that comes up for people, we tend to find it always comes back to, I'm not enough, you know? And this is one of the big things that people really need to think about. You know, we don't get what we want, you know, we get who we are, basically. So a lot of healing comes around when people start addressing, you know, their ideas of self. And until you learn to expand your vision of self and grow in, you know, into yourself, things don't change. So with the programming, we'll sort of talk more about that and some strategies. But we're getting close to the end of 30 minutes. So I'm just going to do a very, very quick summary, and just feel free to add anything. But, you know, we started with the whole, you know, the importance of I look good because I feel good, which I think is the most powerful phrase out there. I look good because I feel good. Or, you know, look good because you feel good. And I think that's so great because, you know, in my experience working with a lot of females in the fitness industry who, you know, and a lot of experience around people that compete on stage and body comp and things like that, a lot of them look great, but they feel like shit, you know, because unfortunately, you know, when you start trying to pursue these extreme measures to get these extreme results, you engage in practices that work against the body, not with the body, and it has a consequence. It really does. So I love that you said, you know, you look good because you feel good. You put the emphasis on feel good because you're being authentic and you're living a life according to values that revolve around your own inner authority and your relationship with body image and health and things like that, which I think it's the most powerful message out there. That's why I wanted to share this with everyone. Yeah. You know, and I think then we talked about, which is really important, which was helping people heal their painful relationships. There's no judgment there between right or wrong. It's just your pain. So healing your painful relationship with food and body image. That's a big thing, again, because it really, what we're talking about is how people manage their own power. And I love the way that you talk about it. It's how we choose to manage our own power. And, you know, and that you tied that in beautifully to our upbringing as children. The role of the father is to validate, the role of the mother is to inspire. And guys, you know, people listen to this, really think about this for a second, because I myself, you know, I never got initiation to adulthood by my father, right? So I never got that rite of passage into manhood. And that is really the key to becoming your own adult or growing into yourself, as I'm now someone who can self-parent myself. And a lot of students that we meet around the world have had the same thing. So they were never taught how to self-parent. So if the father doesn't show you how to validate self, then you will always seek external forms of validation to make you feel good about yourself because you don't know how to self-validate. And this is why people give so much of their power away to social media and magazines and celebrities and all that. They try to fit an ideal, but unfortunately, the people that are kind of setting that ideal in terms of, you know, the publicity and the magazines and the TV celebrities are setting very, very unhealthy ideas around what is normal now. So many women that come to see us have this very, very distorted idea of what's healthy, what is a good, healthy body. So it's no wonder that so many people have such high levels of body dissatisfaction,
Yeah.
Right? So then we swung it around to sort of talk about, well, what's the solution? So if that's the problem. The solution always comes back to learning how to self-parent. Stop outsourcing responsibility and learn how to self-parent. And I love the stuff you say about that, because that's really what this comes down to, is learning how to self-parent. So could you just give a bit of a summary, just to finish off, what self-parenting really means to you, and what you think that people listening to right now would really benefit the most from just a quick overview on how to self-parent?
Okay, so I'd like to, before I answer that, I'd like to touch up on something that you said also that was very important, and it's making the clarification. Like, we're not here to judge and say anything. We're just here to acknowledge that there is pain.
Yeah.
You know, I know the pain. I've been there. I was talking about earlier when I first started, like how sickly I was when I was a child, and that pain actually inspired me to go out and seek other answers apart from being heavily medicated. And first I gave my power away to this medical system, and I allowed them to parent me, and they were just destroying my body more and more and more. Yes, they were keeping me alive, and I'm grateful for that. You know, but that wasn't the answer. I needed to take responsibility for my health. So, life is about taking the challenges and then becoming an alchemist of your life and converting that into power. So what do I do today? You know, today, because I didn't have my health as a child, I value it. I truly value it. And so I take care of myself. The second thing is, as I explained, is when I was a teenager, you know, I lost myself in the whole idea. Like, I was growing up, like, I'm 41, so I was growing up like in the early 90s, like 92. So when like the supermodels became like the big thing, and we all, well, I can't say we all, but many of us got seduced into, oh, I want to go down this path and all this stuff. And I gave my power away there again to wanting to look a certain way. And then through, you know, doing things, you know, with my body that I will get into later. And again, it was another opportunity for me to take my power back and realize, you know what, like, what is this standard of beauty? This is absolute nonsense. Look at all of us. We're completely different. Some of us are tall, some of us are short, some of us have, you know, voluptuous deliciousness. Others of us are much more athletic, you know, like, I don't know. It just varies. So why are we fitting everybody into this standard? And second of all, you know, why are we telling everybody, when everybody's bodies is so different, to do the same things to do it? Which, by the way, you know, it's not just about doing the same thing, but it's also doing, as we were talking about earlier, things that work against the body. So, you know, I just wanted to acknowledge that and say that the pain that everybody is experiencing, we have two ways to see it. It could be disempowering, or it can be a tool for you to learn how to take your power back. Okay, and I think that that's one of the things that I really want to get through with my message, like how I've done it with my life. And then the other thing that I wanted to say, you know, in closing, about self-parenting is, it's all about becoming an expert in yourself. But beyond that, it is about allowing yourself to step out of the infantilized relationship that you have, where you look for surrogate parent figures to surrender your authority and your responsibility to, and to have a rite of passage into adulthood where you become responsible. And by the way, the word responsible makes a lot of people cringe. For me, it's like one of the most empowering words, because you know what it means to me? Responsibility is the ability, for me, the ability to respond for self. Sure. When you depend on other people to respond for you, you will always be in a state of learned helplessness and dependency on these people. However, when you learn to be responsible for yourself, and you learn to connect with inner authority, and you learn to know who you are, first, you don't need to steal power or energy from other people. You don't need to surrender it. You just navigate your life from your authentic self. And that is the invitation. And that is what I mean when I say become an expert in you. So the slogan is look good because you feel good. Become an expert in you and heal your painful relationship with food and with body image. That's what it is. The answers, you know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh yeah, I'm going to give you the answers and this is the right choice and that's the right choice. I don't know you. I have no idea. What I say to my clients is, you know, even though I've been doing this 18 years and they ask me, what should I eat? I go, look, as an expert in me, I can't claim to know you. But what I can do is I can take you through a step-by-step self-exploration journey where you become an expert in you. You figure it out. We have 3 layers. I do it for you. This is me putting together, for example, my program. I do it with you, which is, like coaching or, but coaching into you, not projecting my ideas of the world onto you. And then the other layer is you do it for yourself. And the thing is, everybody just wants things done for them. That's the child. That's the infantilized state. You do need the guidance, when you're learning something new. But you need to, as quickly as possible, take responsibility for yourself and grow up. And here's the other thing. What is healing? In my opinion, healing is committing to truth unconditionally.
So powerful, so powerful. And I love that we're finishing on that, which is the solution. Like I said at the start of this interview, to get people's interest is to understand the problem they have that they don't want, and to be able to show them the result they want but they don't have. So we've really sort of unpacked what the problem is that everyone has that they don't want, and the solution, which is so simple. Like we always say, it's simple, but it's not easy, and that is self-parenting. And self-parenting really is about becoming an expert in you. And it's something that you introduced me to, we got together at the start of our relationship like 7-8 years ago now. And it's something that I've been working on continuously, is to actually, release my parents from the role and responsibility of parenting me. So I don't sit here anymore going, my jokes are bad because my dad's sense of humor was stupid. He taught me how to do bad stand-up. No, I own it now. It's like, it's my responsibility. I don't sort of spend any more time looking back, projecting shame and blame on the people that I feel contributed to the broken parts of this person that's known as Mark Buckley. And parenting is that whole process of releasing people and stepping up into your own initiation to adulthood, where you take on the role and responsibility of parenting yourself. And like I said, it's simple, but it's not easy, because you've got to deal with your bullshit every step of the way, which is the programs that come up. And we talk about how important it is, communication, how important communication is. There are courses out there teaching you how to communicate effectively with other people, but no one teaches you how to communicate with yourself. And that's where we should be doing our most communication, is having these conversations with ourselves, because, we can talk ourselves into things or out of things. We can achieve these healthy relationships with body image and that, or we can push ourselves and talk ourselves further into body dissatisfaction and disordered eating and all the other stuff that's contributing to really taking away our power and pushing us further and further into the state of learned helplessness. So that whole thing of self-parenting, like I said, we're going to keep coming back to it. I know it's another thing we're going to have. We're going to sort of really go deeper into that. But like I said, guys, it's one of the most important things, and it really is stop outsourcing responsibility. In the conversations I have with my clients, it's funny. And, we have scenarios where someone's sitting there who's trying to lose weight, and we go, well, what's going on for you? What are you struggling with? And they go, my wife just keeps giving me these types of meals. And I just look at them and go, why is your wife responsible with what's on your plate? Stop outsourcing responsibility. Stop outsourcing accountability and blame. You are an adult. You are responsible for the food that's on your plate, not your wife. Stop setting her up to fail so you can shift blame and shame onto her, so you can create the illusion of, I feel good about myself because it's not my responsibility. I'm not accountable for it. And we've got to have these hard conversations with people. So I'm looking forward to getting into a lot more. And I know that we're going to get into the programming that screws people up. So we're going to go deeper into the problem. We're going to take you deeper into the rabbit hole.
I'd like to say something there, Mark. And, as coaches, we have the opportunity to really invite people inside themselves, or we have the opportunity to be enablers.
Yeah.
And so I think that, we need to, we need to first, connect with our inner authority before we can go off and start helping other people connect with that inner authority. You know what I mean? Because if not, what's going to happen is the clients are going to manipulate you so easily, and you're just going to get seduced into becoming an enabler for these people. And this is one thing that we need to really take a look at. That's not our job. Like, when you're coming to me, I don't expect you to surrender your power to me. I'm not a guru or anything like that, you know, and, you know, it's the last thing I'd want. You keep your power. You manage it yourself. Do not give your power to me.
Yeah, and this is
what I mean. But at the same time, you know, I will share my experience of what I'm witnessing in the process. You can own it and say, well, that resonates with me or not. But what is it? But the idea is not that I project my ideas on the world to you. Is I just ask you questions to see if you connect with something here or not. But I'm not going to enable crap.
And this is just to finish off on this, because we have gone over time, which I knew we would, but we tried not to. We did our best. But guys, everything that we're saying here, you know, about self-parenting, about outsourced responsibility, even if you're sitting here listening, because I know, especially in my group, we have a lot of coaches out there who are not really sitting here going, well, you know, I don't actually have a painful relationship with body image or with food, all right? Maybe, maybe not. But some people are sitting there going, well, that doesn't really fit me. But you're coaches. So everything we're talking about, guys, the reason why I share this and love it is because when you understand these basic truths and you apply them to your life, every relationship gets better. So I love what Hemi's talked about a second ago with coaching and people wanting to give their power away. You know, and one of the things I learned from her from the very beginning was, as a coach, you know, we've got to be very careful, and this is why self-parenting is so important, that we don't get our emotional needs met by being needed, which is what I love that you brought up. You know, because a lot of us do that as coaches. And when you think about the different personal trainers out there and different coaches, right?
It's so seductive.
Yeah, a lot of them get their emotional needs met by being needed by their clients. And that, unfortunately, is not a powering experience for the client, because we talk about the difference between a preacher and a teacher, right? A preacher is someone who wants to stand on the podium and make the people listening feel, you know, smaller in their presence by disempowering them. And you can always tell the preacher, because the day the student no longer needs them, they freak out because they want to be needed, so they get their emotional needs met as a preacher. Versus the teacher.
Can I add something to that? And the other way that that's done, sorry to interject, is by making things sound complicated. See,
yes.
If things are complicated, it means that I'm so smart that, you know, you need me to figure these things out. The truth is, a lot of these things are so basic and simple. They just require, you know, like, what I would say is applying what I call the bombshell formula: knowledge plus experience equals wisdom, and then you can connect with your own truth. Yeah, you know, like that's really what it is.
Yeah, and that's great. Like, because that brings me to the role of the teacher now. So I'm multitasking here. I'm sharing people's comments while talking. That's the truth.
Sorry, and I've seen that everybody's making comments. I'm just so concentrated. I acknowledge you all. Thank you for the love. I will be responding later or tomorrow. This is new for me, so I'm just like focused.
So yeah, and the role of the teacher, guys, is to actually make people feel bigger in your presence by empowering them. And as you said, this is, you know, a teacher tries to take complex information and really package it down to show how basic it can be. This is why it's always about taking people back to basics. Right? And a teacher, actually, and this is the big one, a teacher loves the day the student no longer needs them, because you've done your job, right? And this is why I love you said before, you know, as a coach helping clients, you know, we start off with this whole self-parenting where we start, you know, as you said, it's done for you. Most people are so disempowered, so confused with misinformation out there, right? People don't need any more information. They actually need to heal their relationship with themselves. It's like we say, don't ask us how to lose weight. Ask us how to keep the ideas that are keeping you overweight, because that's what you're committed to right now with the way that you choose to spend your time. So we really sort of look at that, because, you know, we've got to start off by going, well, first we'll do it for you. We'll show you how to make the right choices, because self-parenting is really about the conversations you have with yourself and learning how to make choices and dealing with the consequences of those choices, either positive or negative, learning from either the positive or negative consequence, failing forward, falling forward, what we say, which I learned from you, which was great. So that's the first step. And the second step is we take a step back. And we take a step back and we do it with you. So we now let you take on more of the process of making the choices, because you've learned the information and you've learned how to start looking at how to make the choices. Now it's about gaining experience with the choices that you make.
And testing the information, because for all they know, what we can be sharing is just a whole bunch of crap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The only way you'll know if it's true is if you apply it and if it connects and resonates with you.
Right, and that's the key, because we are all different, and what works for me will not work necessarily for you. What makes me thrive, you might struggle just to survive. And Hemi and I have experienced that a lot in the way that we train and we do things. You know, the way that I do things is often a little bit too extreme for when it comes to training, and her body doesn't handle it as well. So she's got to do her own style of training. So this is the beauty of it. But that's the next thing. It's like, you know, then as a coach, we kind of have more of a mentor role, don't we? So we're more of like a sounding board. So we're just there for them to share.
I like the sounding board, but not to project our ideas onto people, but rather to have people hear themselves. You know, the process of speaking is, you know, to a coach is not so much the coach tells you what to do, like, I don't know what you should do, but it's so that you can hear yourself and you can self-coach. That's the key. Is creating that safe space for the individual to learn how to coach self. Because as you oftentimes, you know, this conversation that you say we have in our minds, like we have the conversation here, but oftentimes we don't process it as well as when we actually get the opportunity to pass it through our throat, our mouth, and speak it so that we can hear it and we can go like, oh, wow. Because sometimes when it's here, it doesn't sound, you know, as extreme as it is, but then when you actually say it, you're like, whoa, this is what I'm actually doing, you know? And, you know, this is a whole part of self-coaching is you're giving yourself the opportunity, or you're giving somebody else the opportunity to coach self. So this is why, you know, when the clients, get off the program or whatever, like I never say good or bad. I just say, how did it feel? Again, something else that I learned from John McMullen, and give them the opportunity to connect with feeling. What did that feel to you? What did that mean to you? It doesn't matter what it feels or it means to me. Your choices are of no consequence to me.
And that's such a big...
Whatever you do with your body is of consequence to you.
And guys, what you're actually hearing Hemi say there is that whether you choose to succeed or fail, right, she's not going to own. Because how she feels about herself as a coach is not dependent upon whether you succeed or fail as a client, right? So we make this mistake, and I was so bad at this part. I used to get my emotions...
Oh, I was too.
Yeah, I used to think that I was enough to rescue people. And then I soon realized pretty quick, I'm not enough to rescue anyone. Only you can rescue yourself.
You're your own superhero.
Yeah, so just to finish off that, so we do it for you. Then we talked about sort of doing it with you, where we take a step back now and that we take on more of the role and responsibility of coaching self. Because remember, you must first learn to coach self, right? Because you can't give what you don't have, and you can't share what you haven't experienced. It's all about you going out and gaining your own experiences with the ideas that we share with you. And another thing that I love is how I learned to say this, and this is from you as well. When we talk about nutrition, we don't go, this is how it is. We go, this is how I've come to understand it. Because I don't know. It's not a black and white area. So all I can do is share how I've come to understand it. Now I need you to go off with that information, gain experience with it, and find out what works for you and what doesn't. All right. And then the final step is it's all you. So it's done for you, done with you. And then we take a massive step out of the way, and it's all you. Where you now take on the role and responsibility of really coaching yourself. You know, and this is so powerful because, you know, and I know that you've got the same philosophy. We don't do quick fixes. All right. We don't believe in quick fixes. We don't believe in the low road approach. We don't believe in getting extreme results or engaging in extreme measures. We're not into using approaches that work against the body, not with the body, meaning, you know, we'll get you there, but it's not sustainable long term. We're all about getting you there and then keeping you there.
Yeah.
And when it comes to keeping you there, it's only you that can keep you there through going through that whole process of learning how to be an expert in you and self-parenting.
Yeah, and you know, like you've been talking a lot because like some of the people that are listening in are coaches themselves. You know, we have a lot of coaches amongst our friends, but I think that this is also important for mothers. This is really important for mothers.
Yeah.
Because you are going to be able to parent your child to the degree that you know how to parent yourself. You know, so everything that we've just said here applies to anybody as a parent. You know, like we're talking about coaches, we're talking about parents as well. So this is like across the board. Like we all need to, in my opinion, just really grow ourselves up. You know, and yeah, and what?
Easier said than done. I'm a big kid. It's hard to grow.
Yeah. Well, it's a journey. It's a journey, and we're all in it together. We're still learning. We're all still learning. You're learning. I'm learning. We're learning together. I learn through my clients. Oh my God! Like my best teachers have been my clients.
Yeah, and my best teachers have been my clients, and now my students. I learn more from just sitting and being present to what's going on in my students' lives than anything. It's incredible. Just learning to listen and to observe and not cloud yourself by missing the experience, by sort of throwing in your own judgment and ideas into a situation.
Yeah, and I want to say something else, going back to the whole body image and the self-parenting. At the end of the day, one of the things that we need to really learn how to do is we need to look for that inspiration and that validation within ourselves. We first need to connect. What is my body frame? I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Like my sister. My sister is really, really petite. Okay? If I was to have built my self-concept and what I need to look like based on her body and her standards, I would have had to do a lot of damage to my body to fit into her little frame.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I've always been more voluptuous and stuff. And what I've learned is to embrace that and respect that. And how can I be the best version of me within my own frame instead of looking at other people to give me standards? This is self-parenting. This is an example of self-parenting with body image. Do you know what I hear a lot? And maybe the people that are listening that are coaches or even the people that go to coaches and are hearing this, one thing that's become really popular is you go, yeah, so what are your goals? Okay, so I want her legs, I want her abs, I want her butt. Like if you're shopping like in a catalog. Huh?
And I want her man. You get told that.
I want her man. Yeah, exactly. Like what are we doing? And then the trainers feel pressured because of these requests because they want to keep the client. And then they start doing all these kinds of, weird things, putting people on these weird diets, whatever, to give them what they can't give them. Well, if that's what you want, then you need to go to somebody who can do some cut and pasting.
Which is not
because you can't fit somebody into somebody else's frame unless you're prepared to do harm to yourself. That's my opinion.
And it's like it is a domino effect, and we are going to wrap it up here, hun. But it is a domino effect. You get the client who doesn't know how to self-validate, self-inspire, who gives their power away, to external forms of validation, feel good about themselves. They go seeking out a trainer who you said is a cut and paste type trainer, and they're pretty much saying to that trainer, I want to achieve this look, which is like this ideal, which is not normal, basically. But I've been convinced, I've been brainwashed into thinking this is how a healthy woman's body should look. And what they need to do in order to achieve that, as we've said, is to engage, to get extreme results like that, they have to engage in extreme measures, which is methods that work against the body, not with the body. Now,
and we'll be talking a lot about that too in our next interviews.
And that's what we call the low road approach. Now, this is what I mean by the domino effect. And now they're sitting in front of a trainer who's been brainwashed with the same ideas, who has the same, unhealthy relationship with body image and food, who's sitting in a place of coaching now, who then pretty much goes, okay, well, because I have my own, issues around money and business, and I'm not enough to make money and all this stuff, and I come from a place of lack and scarcity and all this bullshit that holds a lot of trainers back, they now go, okay, you're prepared to pay for me to take you down the low road. I need the money because I'm a low-value trainer, and this is low-value work, and I need to achieve a certain amount to cover my rent and all this, and I can't afford to turn clients away. And they then become a low-road trainer. They actually start taking these clients down through the low-road approach and adding to this very unhealthy relationship. And it just goes on and on and on. And this is why I keep saying, guys, when you understand this stuff, this one principle of learning how to self-parent, honestly, will heal every relationship that you have that you're losing power. Your relationship with food, your relationship with body image, your relationship with intimate connections and relationships. It really is so worth investing in because it will really improve every area of your life. Now, I'm going to have to leave it there, hun. because I don't want to go over an hour. We said 30 minutes, and we're getting there.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, but guys, I hope this was just an idea, just a bit of an overview of what Hemi's about and what she does. And over the next few interviews, we're going to go a little bit deeper into these key areas, and we're going to really start unpacking the programming and what are the ideas that are causing people to have this level of body dissatisfaction, these very painful relationships with body image and food and things. And then we're going to talk a bit more about self-parenting and strategies you can actually use to sort of help, free yourself from the shackles that are sort of stopping you from growing into yourself, or growing into the expanded idea of yourself and actually achieving the things you want and being the person that you want to become. So we've got a lot of cool stuff planned. As I said, today was just to give you a bit of an overview on Hemi.
Hemi. Oh my God, you can't even pronounce my name? Seriously. Do you guys know, by the way, that it took Mark the longest time to be able to spell my full name?
I still forget. I still pronounce it wrong. Remember the rules. Don't say anything that makes me look bad.
We were booking tickets yesterday, and he's like, can you please make sure the spelling is right? I'm like, really?
Happy birthday. I know. I'm a typical guy. I need to parent myself on that.
I love you.
You guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Leave any questions when you watch this. We're going to leave it up. So if you watch it, any questions come up, leave it in the comments because we will address them in the upcoming interviews. We're going to do another one tomorrow where we're going to get into another part of this topic and unpack it more. But if you're interested and you want to sort of get more information about, healing your relationship with body image and food and get an idea of what the 7 body basics are, because like I said before, it always comes back to stripping things back to the basics, getting the basics right. All right, go to bombshellformula.com. So it's bombshellformula.com. And Hemi has on her front page, it's the 7 body basics, which is a free online multimedia course with a fantastic workbook.
The 7 body basics beginner's guide. It's the beginner's guide. It's not the 12-week program.
Right. It's the beginner's guide that kind of strips everything back to the basics and gives you guys a real understanding of what are the key things to put in place if you really do want to heal your relationships with body image and food and take your power back, and what steps to actually think about in order to take the right steps and to move forward and take action on. All right, so check it out. We'll be back tomorrow around the same time, maybe an hour earlier. Yeah, please, we're doing this because we want to sort of change the way the industry is run. We want to start helping people, free themselves from the need to outsource responsibility by empowering them with their own inner authority and learning how to become an expert in them. That's where freedom really happens. So we're doing this as a gift to try and get you guys seeing things through a different lens, right? We want to share how we've come to understand this debilitating area for females, and more guys are being inflicted by it as well. So please, this is interactive. Leave comments. If you watch it, questions come up, leave a comment. We'll go through them. And if, we'll try our best to either answer them or address them in the upcoming interviews. So,
and I'd like to close with something.
Yep.
And I'd like to say that what I envision, my goal to be is just, a world with people who are responsible for themselves. Because if each one of us becomes responsible for ourselves, if each one of us grows ourselves up, then this world, I believe, is going to be a completely different place. This is not about a revolution and everybody has to think the same way. No, this is all about going inside ourselves, connecting with our true power, with who you really are, not who you've been told you are. That's the lie. With your essence, with your heart, and learning to navigate yourself from a place of self-respect and inner authority. And if we all learn to do that, and we reconnect with our sovereignty as human beings, I believe that we could be looking at a completely different place. So that is what I envision and what I am working towards.
Beautiful. And I love that message as well. I want to get it out and share it with the world, as many people as I can. So, Hemi, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I mean, an hour has just flown by. And we can just keep on going. And I can't believe that I'm actually the one pulling reins here and pulling you back. All right. But tomorrow, we're going to do it again, earlier time, go into more detail about a different topic. All right, so hopefully, guys, thanks for everyone that attended. Thanks for everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
And we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. So with that being said, I'm going to end this interview, and all the best. See you soon. Bye.